Hi there, and welcome to Ian's Engage channel. I'm Ian. In this video I'm going to review the Revolution Trains Class 128 parcel train. This is my first Revolution Trains Loco, and I'm really interested to see how it compares with the likes of Graham Farish and Dapple. The model comes in several liveries, with a couple of different body styles, representing gangweight and non-gangweight variants. But before we get into the review of the model, here's a little bit of information about the real thing. The Class 128 is a class of diesel multiple unit built for British Rail by the Gloucester Railway Carriage and Wagon Company. 10 of the class were built between 1959 and 1960, with 6 of the 10 being gangweight, allowing traversal between connected coaches. The class was built specifically for the transportation of parcels and letters, and each unit was fitted out with parcel racks. There was no passenger accommodation. Each unit was powered by two 230 horsepower Leyland Albion engines. This allowed them to operate singly or to pull their own parcel trains. They could also be attached to a regular service train to make up extra parcel storage. The first locos began operating in 1959. They carried several liveries throughout their lifetime, starting out in green, then transitioning to BR blue, and eventually ending up in Royal Mail red. The Class 128 spent the majority of their working lives in London, Midland and Western regions, but towards the end of their service lives they could be found in the Eastern region. Although the first of the class was scrapped as early as 1971, the final members weren't withdrawn from operation until 1990. Unfortunately, all Class 128s were scrapped by 1991, and none have survived into preservation. Firstly, the product code of the Loco I'm reviewing is on the side of the box, and is on screen now. The model packaging is a little different to that of the manufacturers I'm more familiar with. The outer cardboard sleeving contains a hard plastic box, which itself contains a fold-out card that surrounds a softer plastic shell. The Loco sits in this plastic shell. As you can see, I've gone for the gangweight Royal Mail liveried version of the model, which I think looks stunning in the bright red Royal Mail colourway. As well as the Loco, there's an instruction sheet at the bottom of the box, and an accessory pack. The accessory pack contains extra detail parts such as hooks, pipes and lamps. I should add that I somehow managed to misplace my instruction sheet, but after contacting Revolution Trains support, they offered to post a replacement to me. They also emailed me a PDF version when I requested one, and all in the space of a couple of hours. That's great customer service. The model features a coreless motor that incorporates a flywheel. This drives a single bogie, but pickups for the motor are situated on all wheels of the Loco. There's a weight situated above the bogie to give it better traction, and the total weight of the Loco is 65 grams. For those wanting to run the model on DCC, like myself, there's a Next 18 decoder socket located inside the Loco. The Loco is pre-fitted with a small speaker, meaning it should be very easy to add sound to, if so desired. The Loco also features directional lighting, with both headlights and taillights. The bogies feature NEM coupling pockets, and these are fitted as standard with Rapido couplers. In many respects, details is what this Loco is all about. There are little details everywhere you look. At one end of the Loco alone, you can see it's a work of art. The pleated parts of the gangway connectors immediately stand out as different from other models seen at this scale. There are a plethora of separately fitted parts. There's windscreen wipers, the handrails, the exhaust pipes, the buffers, as well as the moulded lamp surrounds, lamp brackets, door hinges, door handles, and rivets. The sides of the Loco contain the cab doors, as well as the larger loading doors. Each loading door features large diagonal stripes, grills at each window, and moulded hinges. The roof of the model is relatively detail-free, although that's prototypical. However, there are some nice moulded details on the bogies, representing springs, brakes and axle boxes. There are some incredible details fitted below the frame. I won't pretend to know what all of the parts are, but there are a lot of them, and they look impressive. The detail doesn't stop there though, as if you flip the Loco over, there are details running under the chassis, including exhausts, engines, piping, vacuum cylinders, chassis bracing, and goodness knows what else. With all of the separately fitted parts, you may have expected to see the odd glue mark or two, but I saw nothing of the sort. Looking at the paintwork, the base Royal Mail red is nicely applied, and looks nice and flat, rather than shiny. The yellow ends are well separated from the red of the bodywork and offer a nice contrast. All of the lines and stripes are crisp, with no visible overspray anywhere on the model. Transfers have been nicely applied, with the tiny separation line between each character of the Royal Mail letters wording being impressive to look at, especially when you realise just how small it is. The BR Arrows logo, the Royal Mail logo, the warning stickers, information panel and running numbers have also all been nicely applied. Possibly the most impressive transfer is the impossibly tiny number 2 engine cut-off switch warning. You can't deny that all of these details go to make this a very impressive looking model. To fit a decoder, we need to get into the Loco by removing the body shell. The information sheet indicates gently unclip the body shell and lift it clear of the chassis. And this is where I have a problem with most Loco information sheets, but especially this one. All of the effort Revolution have put into presenting you with a magnificently detailed model, yet they've skimped on the instructions. Unclip from where? A diagram showing specific label locations would have been nice, or even a video on their website walking you through disassembly. I've admitted many times on this channel that I don't have the knack of removing body shells, but please give me a fighting chance to remove one without resorting to guesswork. However, using my trusty tub of guitar picks, I eventually figured out where to slip them between the body shell and the chassis to unclip it, which allowed the body shell to be pulled away. Once the body shell had been removed, we can then see how the chassis is made up, with the decoder blanking plate located in the centre. The coreless motor and flywheel sit below the chassis weight that's located above a single driven bogie. I go into more detail about opening up the Loco in my DCC fitting guide, which I've linked to in the description. After running in on DC, the Loco was exceptionally quiet and circulated my test track really smoothly at a variety of speeds. As usual though, as has been witnessed with most of my Locos when running on DC, the crawling performance could have been better. Although the Loco required minimal power to get moving, it displayed an annoying level of jerkiness at lower power levels. Once running on DCC, the Class 1 to 8 ran as smooth as silk at any speed. However, the real benefit of running on DCC comes when the Loco is running at slow speeds and crawling. All of the jerkiness displayed when running on DC has disappeared, and the Loco shows that it's a wonderful slow runner. I paid £174.95 for my Class 1 to 8 from Kerno Model Rail Centre, which was and still is the retail price of the model at time of review. I thought this was a bit on the high side, considering I then had to add the price of a decoder to it. Although the model already had a speaker fitted to it, it would cost in the region of an extra £100 to make use of it, bringing the total to a lot more than most sound-fitted N-gauge Locos are currently retailing for. I'll close out the review with a few running shots of the parcel train running around my test track on DCC. Okay, so let's bring this review to a conclusion. Firstly, I have to say that Revolution Train support was excellent, with them getting a replacement set of instructions to me within a couple of hours of me asking for them. There's also no denying that this is a very good looking Loco, with an enormous amount of detail. It also runs incredibly smoothly on DC and DCC, but to get the best out of its slow running capabilities, I'd suggest that running on DCC is the way to go. In terms of pricing, you're definitely paying for all of that detail, but I'll leave it up to you to decide whether or not it's value for money. What I will say is that fitting so much detail on the underside of the Loco is not something I personally feel is necessary, but I understand why others will disagree with me. I've found most of the detail parts on the Loco to be very sturdy, but as anyone who has watched my DCC fitting video will know, I managed to snap off one of the exhausts while removing the body shell. Unfortunately, since then I've also managed to snap off the other exhaust, although I have no idea when or how. I take full responsibility for this, but I'd have sacrificed all of that underside detail to have had metal exhaust parts instead of the fragile plastic ones. Then at least the visible parts of my Loco would look as intended. Meanwhile, the underside of the Loco looks magnificent, so it's a shame that I never look at it. I said at the beginning I was interested to see how the Loco compared with offerings from Graham Farish and Dapple, and the answer has to be very favourably. I suppose the big question is, would I have purchased this Loco given what I now know about it? And I have to answer, yes, I most certainly would. It's a tremendous model. In fact, I'll definitely be in the market for a BR Blue variant at some point, as that would be more in era for my layout. Okay, so do you have one of these Locos? If so, what are your experiences with it? Which livery did you go for? And what do you think about some of the more detailed areas of the Loco being out of sight? As always, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. In the meantime, thanks ever so much for watching. Hopefully there'll be another review along soon. Bye!